Most people assume modern irrigation is the result of steady progress, more precise, more efficient, more advanced than anything that came before. Yet a simple clay vessel buried in the ground nearly 4,000 years ago can reduce water use by as much as 70% compared to many modern garden systems. It requires no electricity, no plastic tubing, no pressure regulators, and no constant monitoring. It quietly delivers water directly where plants need it most, at the roots, guided only by soil moisture and basic physics. And yet, despite its proven efficiency across millennia, you won't find stacks of these vessels promoted in most garden centers. Instead, you'll see drip irrigation kits, timers, connectors, and replacement parts. Today, we're examining why one of the most water-efficient agricultural technologies ever developed remains marginal, while far more complex systems dominate the market. If you value careful evidence-based survival knowledge drawn from history, subscribe to the Survival Record now. Because this story is not just about irrigation, it's about what societies choose to preserve and what they quietly leave behind. The buried clay pot is one of the oldest controlled irrigation systems humanity ever developed. Archaeological evidence traces this method, often called olla irrigation, from the Spanish word for pot, back at least 4,000 years to arid and semi-arid regions of northern Africa, the Middle East, and parts of East Asia. The design is disarmingly simple. An unglazed clay pot is buried with its neck at or just above the soil surface. Water is poured inside. Because the clay remains porous, moisture slowly seeps outward through microscopic openings in the vessel walls. What regulates the flow is not a valve, timer, or pump, but the soil itself. Dry soil draws moisture outward through capillary tension. As the surrounding earth becomes damp, the outward flow slows or stops. The system responds automatically to plant demand. Water moves only when needed and only in the quantity required to equalize moisture levels. This is passive precision, not approximate efficiency, measurable efficiency rooted in material science that ancient farmers understood through observation rather than theory. Early dryland civilizations depended on this method not as a novelty, but as infrastructure. In regions where rainfall was unreliable and surface evaporation intense, buried vessel irrigation supported food production where open channel watering would have wasted most available water. Excavations in parts of present-day Iran and Pakistan show evidence of dense agricultural zones sustained with minimal surface water loss. Similar techniques appear in traditional Chinese subsistence farming and later among indigenous communities of the American Southwest after cultural transmission through trade and adaptation. These systems mattered because they stabilized settlement. Reliable crop production in marginal climates allowed permanent habitation, population growth, and regional trade networks. In effect, the buried pot functioned as a water rationing device embedded directly into the soil. It stretched limited resources across growing seasons without requiring centralized control. This is an important survival principle that appears repeatedly in human history. Technologies that distribute scarcity gradually often sustain societies longer than those that maximize abundance quickly. The science behind the pot remained unchanged even as empires rose and fell. What is remarkable is not merely the longevity of the technique, but its consistency. The physics governing moisture diffusion through porous clay has not changed in 4 millennia. Neither has the biological response of plant root systems, which grow towards stable moisture gradients. The system aligns naturally with plant behavior. Unlike surface irrigation, which encourages shallow root spread, buried vessel watering promotes deep, concentrated root development. Plants become more drought-resistant because their moisture source is stable and localized underground. In survival agriculture, resilience often matters more than yield peaks.